Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, we're back again with Felons Talk. Please hit the like and subscribe button so that our content can get further into the algorithm and more people will be able to see it. And I'm going to start today by telling you about a guy that nobody ever talks about. His name was Mike Bartosh, and he was with Barry Mills on two murders, and uh, and he was convicted on one of them. And nobody ever talks about him like he didn't exist. I don't, his name is never mentioned. Uh, it's strange. It's very strange. Anyway, Puppet Mike Bartosh and Barry Mills were in McNeil Island, which is a prison off the coast of Washington State. Uh, they had to get there by tugboat, I believe. It used to be a federal penitentiary, United States prison, and it housed prisoners from the West Coast mainly, and uh, and that's where they sent Barry, Mike Bartosh, and Puppet, uh, and that's where they were until they got into some kind of jam. Now they assaulted someone. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think they told me about it. Mike told me about it, and uh, and they got transferred and spread out. And Puppet ended up in Marion, and Mike ended up in Atlanta, and Barry was just in holdover status for quite some time. I mean, they didn't redesignate him for a while, and I don't know why that was. But in the meantime, me and Mike are working in the laundry in United States Penitentiary, Atlanta, Georgia. And Mike is a cool guy. He likes to do all the things that we all like to do. He likes to drink. He likes to smoke weed. Uh, Play dominoes, pinochle, stuff like that. And he had a good act. He had a good reputation. He had a good. Uh, he just had a good personality. He was really laid back and easygoing, and so pleasure to get along with, really. And one day he showed up at the job, and he was looking kind of down and out. And I said, "What's wrong, Mike?" He said, "Well, Barry's coming to Atlanta." And I said, "You mean your buddy from?" Because at the time I didn't really know much about the Aryan Brotherhood. You know, I'd heard about it, but I knew nothing about it. He said, "Yeah." He said, "He's coming, and he is like the head of the Aryan Brotherhood." And I said, "Well, Mike, he's your friend, right?" "Yeah, he's." Mike said, "Yeah, yeah, he's my friend, but." I said, "Well, why ain't you happy, man? Like you look like you're just, down and out about this." He said, "Well, you don't understand." He said, "I'm under an obligation to him. He wants me to be Aryan Brotherhood. He wants to make me a brother. In order to do that, I have to, he wants to take me on his next murder because Barry had promised that he was going to kill one inmate in every prison he went to. And, and Mike was like, that's what's going to happen. He's going to come and he's going to want me to ride with him. And I already promised him, that I'm going to be his, I'm going to ride with him and I'm going to make my bones. I can't back out of that. I said, damn, Mike. Oh my God, man, that's not good, bro. Uh, because Mike was only doing 8 years under the old law. And he'd have maxed that sentence out, maxed it out in like 5.5 years. And he could have even been paroled earlier than that, but it wasn't likely. Uh, so he was doing a small sentence, man. And here comes Barry, and Barry is every bit of what they say he is. He's, you know, he's, He's very he lets you know who he is. Let's put it that way. And within the next 12 months, Barry had killed two inmates with Mike Bartosh. First one, he doesn't get much. He doesn't get much acknowledgement for because it never really. He never got charged with it. The first one was a guy named Harold Stanfield. They called him Cookie. Why I don't know, because he was a big, big guy, like 6'6", and very aggressive. First time I met him, I walked into D block. He was on the second tier, and he was challenging two black guys on the first tier to come up and fight him at the same time. He was going to fight them both at the same time, and they didn't want to fight. Anyway, the point was, uh, he was selling heroin. That was his thing, and Barry loved heroin, you know. And the point being that if you're going to be selling heroin in a penitentiary like Atlanta, you better be a tough motherfucker because a lot of people won't let you, you know, they won't pay you, you know, if they think you're soft. This guy was no soft person. He was just a very aggressive man, you know. So anyway, Barry got indebted to him. Uh, Stanfield demanded his money. Barry said, I'll pay you. Don't worry. I'll pay you. And, you know, Barry paid him by killing him. This is not the first time that people have been murdered in prison over drug debts. Most of the time, you hear people talk about, oh, your guy's getting in debt for drugs or whatever, gambling, whatever, and he gets killed because he can't pay the debt. What you don't hear about, and what happens just as often, is that people will run up a drug bill or a gambling debt, and instead of paying the debt, they'll kill the person that they owe it to. Well, that's how Barry paid Harold Stanfield. And Mike grabbed one arm. I believe another guy grabbed the other arm. There's two people who it might have been. I think it was. I'm going to say this name because I know he's dead now. Yankee Taylor, I believe. Anyway, to make a long story short, they brutally murder this guy and they get caught and go to the hole. But there's not enough evidence to hold him, so they have to let him back out. They changed the rules about how long they can hold you for investigation because of this murder. Your SIS lieutenant used to have like 2 weeks to either give them enough, present enough evidence to the United States Attorney's Office to prosecute these people. If they don't have it in 2 weeks, they have to be released back into general population. Like I say, that changed after this murder because within about 3 more months, they killed Marsloff in the Stadium Shack bathroom. And that murder was, everybody talks about Danny Holiday, which they called him Doc Holiday. Everybody says he was down with the murder. He wasn't. He wasn't even, you know, he wasn't inside where they were. They killed him in a bathroom, okay, on the lower yard. Danny Halliday stood outside of the bathroom to keep a lookout for so that people let them know if somebody's coming. Okay, Danny Halliday didn't even know they were going to commit a murder. Danny was told that they were going to put a tattoo on him, or they said they were going to rob him. I don't know which one it was. I think it was the tattoo. Okay. And he said that he had no idea what they were really going to do when they did it. And he found out, and it was like, oh my God. You know, he ended up becoming a government witness and testified against Barry. And essentially, he got Barry at 2 life sentences, and Mike Bartosh was there too. Now, from my understanding, when Barry killed Marzloff, he almost cut his head off, and Mike Bartosh ran to the other toilet and started to throw up. Yeah. Uh, and of course, Mike got 2 life sentences as well, one for murder, one for conspiracy to murder. And those were the 2 murders that Mike Bartosh was involved with. And like I say, Barry loved this guy, you know. Mike was about 38 years old. He'd have been home in his early 40s. He had a whole life ahead of him. He ended up giving his life up so that he could become an Aryan Brotherhood. And I mean, I don't know. I think Barry kind of didn't really care. He knew he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison, and he wanted all his friends to be doing the same amount of time as him. I guess, you know, we're going to all die together in the penitentiary. That's wonderful. Huh? That's a good way to look at life, huh? It's crazy. Anyway, Mike ended up dying of a brain aneurysm on the weight pile in Marion. I'm going to say 82, around there, around 82. And he never gets any press coverage about any of the things that his name, the only name that comes up with that murder is Danny Halliday. Halliday, his actual name was Halliday. And they sent him to Montana State Prison to hide him out. And he was in protective custody at that point, forget what, I think it was 92, I think. They had the big riot up there. They took over the protective custody housing, and they killed 5 inmates, protective custody inmates. And they hung their bodies from the top tier. They used buffer cords, whatever they could find. They had like 5 bodies hanging. when the goon squad finally secured the building, it had to be a marquee sight, man. I mean, there were just dead bodies hanging from the second tier. It's like something you see in Mexico or something down there. Bodies hanging from the bridges and stuff. And that is how Danny Halliday met his end. And that's the end of that story. So please like and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you tomorrow.